Welcome back, everybody, or welcome to another edition of Nain's Shorts here in the basement of Physique Magnifique, a wonderful place to be, the home of IPC, intuitive protection concepts. That's that right there. Before I start with today's topic, I want to remind you all this beautiful blade here, which we'll try to zoom in on a little bit, but this beautiful blade here is off on a raffle. Nain Shorts, in conjunction with Kali Conversation and Wolf's Den Armory, John Atkinson, thank you very much for the great craftsmanship. We are auctioning off, or raffling off rather, this particular blade. If you wish to just pay out and buy it all together, by all means do so. But the tickets are $5 each. It is definitely worth a hell of a lot more than $5, but just $5 can win you this particular blade. It is a live blade. It is very sharp. It's a fantasy weapon from a very beloved TV show, and if you don't know what it is, look it up, because that is a Klingon blade that will take out a Klingon if used properly. That being said, that's going to be there, but please look out for it. Venmo, Zelle. We'll get the money somehow, and we'll get the blade to you once we do the raffle in September. So keep an eye out for that. Please buy your tickets, get your friends to buy tickets, and let's make it a great raffle. So now that we've said that, the technical aspect of it, lately we've been having a conversation in class, and not just amongst my instructor and myself, but other instructors and other students, about the idea of kindness. More importantly, how do you cultivate kindness in your students? Now, my first thought on that came about this idea that I've had the pleasure of speaking with many instructors, many masters, and many of which the older instructors, they don't even teach on a regular basis anymore. They just kind of train on their own. They have maybe one dedicated student, and oftentimes that student has now become a training partner. But in that environment, how do you keep kindness alive? How do you make sure that your students are kind? Now, off the bat, it's the person. And I don't mean the students as individuals. I mean the instructor as an individual, because you are the forefront of your class. Whether you admit it or not, your students will emulate the things that you do, and more importantly, how you go about doing so. In class, you can act a certain way and be a certain person and definitely give a good vibe and a good image to your students, but are you that person outside of class? And that's where it really hit home, was this consistency. Whether it's training or just self-improvement in any way, shape, or form, habit. It's not a choice that you make one time. You do something kind for somebody one day and all of a sudden you're a kind person. No, it's a continuous thing. You have to wake up every morning and make the conscious choice to do something kind for someone, to be kind to someone, in and out of class. Because only when you can make that a habit does it become a part of your character. Now, some people, they're naturally giving. They're just the kind of person that's there and puts themselves out there and helps people, whether they're asked to or not. Oftentimes, not asked to, and oftentimes very annoying, but very helpful and very, very sweet on their part, because they genuinely wish to help somebody out, even though they're not getting anything from it. Sometimes not even a thank you. And I think that's the hardest part. How can you continue to do something on a regular basis when you're not really getting anything back? Now, being with my instructor, it's 9+ years of seeing him do little things here and there, really putting attention to the individual students to make sure they're getting something out of that class, making sure that they're learning something significant, but not just in class. I've spent time with him out of class. We've traveled, we've gone to different places because of Kali Conversation, because we just enjoy hanging out with each other and going to seminars and that sort of thing. But you start seeing that the person that they are in class is also the person they are in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, whether they're at home, whether they're in a new environment, whether they're in front of people they've met and know, whether they're with their family, whether they're complete and utter strangers. They're giving. They give something of themselves, their time, their knowledge, or just a helping hand carrying something. Not that he's strong enough to carry anything significant, but he will still help out by saying, I have a Mexican, he can carry heavy things, and he lends me out to people. But because I've seen that in so many facets of not just the class, but also in life, it's ingrained in me to such a degree where it comes out without even really thinking about it. For me, it's all about doing those little innocuous things that nobody's ever going to notice that you've done, that are kind in a way that you're thinking about somebody else other than what you're doing and who you're with. That you do these little things to be out of people's ways, or make sure that you leave space for somebody else so then they can get on with their day and they're not frustrated. For me, those little acts of kindness are the ones that I try to cultivate on a daily basis if I can. But I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not naturally a kind person. And I'm sure the people that have come up with me will tell you, I am a major asshole. And it took a lot for me to really get to a point where I can honestly and openly say, yeah, I don't have the best character when it comes to things like kindness and being nice. I'm very abrasive, I'm very blunt, I'm very direct. And that oftentimes covers whatever kindness I may be trying to show to other people. So that character development is a big part for me, and it's a constant thing. It's a daily thing. It's not a one time and you're done, you reach the level and that's it. No, it, like my training, it has to be done consistently for there to be results. And now I find myself in a place 9 years down the road where I genuinely care for my students, and when I can, I care for somebody that isn't my students outside of class. But in class in itself, and how I show the students that I care is, I put myself through hell. I get beat up, I get dropped, I get thrown for my fellow students in my Kaju Kempo class. I'm bruised up, I go back and forth and I uki for them more than once to make sure that they get something out of it, that they get the right feel, that they feel like they accomplished what they were set out to do in that particular technique, or in just the class in general. And it hurts like hell afterwards when your body cools down and you start seeing all these bruises and you realize, I don't even know how that happened, but I have a scar now all of a sudden. But it brings this flood of joy to see people's lights just come on, their minds just open up, and they learn and they take something away that's far more significant than what they started with on that particular moment. So to say that being kind is a thankless thing is no longer true to me. It is a wonderful thing to have, because you get in return more than you can ever ask for, more than can ever be said by a thank you or some sort of gesture. Because that's not why I do it. I want to see people flourish. I want to see people get better than me. I want to see people excel at what they set out to do, not just in class, but outside of class. If I can lend a hand in something like that, I am more than happy to do so. I've dragged my children to various places because I'm helping people out. They may or may not understand it, but I'm also setting an example for them, not just the students in front of me. Because kindness isn't just for class, isn't just to cultivate the kind of character you want in your school. It's something that can be used everywhere, in all facets of life, at all times. And are we cultivating that within our students? Because we do become that spearhead, we become that image that then they try to emulate. And it is a difficult task to look at yourself and say, okay, am I really a kind person, or am I just an asshole? And look at the people around you. Are your students truly kind? Do they go out of their way to help their fellow students? Do they put effort forward outside of class to show kindness to others? If not, then it's a really hard look within yourself to say, okay, maybe I'm not doing my job as well. Maybe I really am just an asshole and I don't know how to be kind. So then it would behoove somebody to learn that and then practice it and then make it a habit so it becomes part of who you are. And folks, it's not an easy task. Thank God I have somebody who's willing to put that effort forward to give me a good example. And I've met so many wonderful people that have done very similar, if not the same, and are the same in many aspects of their character, where they are willing to give their time just to talk to a bunch of strangers on a conversation. Now, we just want to talk to them and put it on camera. So for us, that means a hell of a lot. So that kindness in itself is the kind of culture that I want to be a part of, especially in the martial arts. And if it's not there, then what can we do to make sure that it is? How can we make sure that it continues? So when people look at us, they see a group of kind individuals. Sure, dangerous, but kind. People that wouldn't go out to hurt somebody, that wouldn't go out there to cause mischief or issues in your own society, in your own environment, in your own neighborhoods. But people that are respected, not because they demand it, not because they hold a high title and they walk around with their chest puffed up, but because the content of their character supersedes every single title that they could ever achieve in their lifetime. And again, I've been very lucky to meet many people and have received so many examples, so it's become ingrained in me. But if we can make it a conscious effort, maybe we can progress a little further. Maybe we can cultivate it a little deeper within our students. Because you see it all the time, these little acts of kindness, and it feels good, but how do we repeat that? How do we continue it? How do we make sure that it disseminates into everybody around us so they feel almost compelled? Because I will tell you folks, at the very beginning, it was hard. Because I'd see him do something kind and then it would repeat and it would repeat, and all of a sudden I'm like, God damn it, now I have to do something kind. And it was a bit of a chore. It wasn't easy. And I had to push myself to really get to that point. And now it's a part of me and I can't see myself being any other way. So it isn't something that you just naturally have. Some people are more attuned to it than others. Some need to work a hell of a lot harder on it. I'm one of those people. But just like everything, we're good at some things and we're not good at others. And it's just how hard are you willing to work at it that makes that difference. Because just like your physical training, just like all the moves that you do and the understanding that goes, the understanding of the human person, the human mind, and more importantly, the understanding of yourself in those contexts will make a huge difference in the direction in which you're able to grow, and more importantly, the direction that you will eventually choose to grow in. And that will be the example for everyone else that comes after you to really get a good foothold on where they want to go. And some people are going to fall off. Some people are not going to like it. And you may not need those people in your life because that's just not their bag. That's just not what they're about or what they want to be about. And that's okay. Not everybody has to be this way, but I personally believe that it is very important, especially when we're teaching people how to, well, cause damage to the human body. But more importantly, how we keep ourselves from being damaged by other people who aren't necessarily as kind, who aren't necessarily in the best state of mind or emotional state, without necessarily having to cause them too much harm. Sure, if you gotta go there, you gotta go there, as we've said before, but ultimately, maybe you can disarm the situation with an act of kindness. Maybe that is your true defense. To be able to portray yourself in such a way where people can't really be mad at you. People can't really attack you because they don't see you, one, as a threat, or two, a very salty asshole that's just ready to start some shit, because some people are. Let's not add to that. So how else could we cultivate kindness in our students and our own environment in turn? What other things can you add to your daily life, or ideas that you can share with the rest of the group that really emulate this idea of spreading kindness and cultivating kind people? People. Not students, not martial artists, just people. Outside and inside of class, whether they're your students or they're not. a stranger or somebody you've known for years. How can we make everyone around us as kind as they possibly can be? And that's by giving them such a good example that they have no other choice. And you kind of bully them into it. No, I'm kidding, don't bully them into it. But your character will shine more than anything. And it's not by the words that you say, but by the actions that you take. That's what people see. That's what they take away. You can say the nicest words, turn around and punch somebody in the face. Your words mean nothing all of a sudden. Because that act totally killed whatever message you could have portrayed. So it's about who you are and who you want to be. And that's not an easy task, folks. So any help that we can get, any other advice, please share it. Please feel free to comment, because it definitely becomes a strong guideline for how you're going to be in your class and, more importantly, in your everyday life. Thank you for joining me on another one of Nain's Short. Hopefully this was informative. At the very least, please chime in, give us your examples or your ideas on how to go about doing this, because I'm not an expert. This is only my personal experience thus far, but I have a hell of a long road ahead of me, and I don't plan to stop anytime soon. So thank you very much, and as usual, 3, 2, 1, cut!